Book of the Dead, Magic and Theology, The Mysteries of Osiris. Osirian Rituals. Part 1. A large proportion of Osirian rituals is funerary in character, addressing a multitude of relevant issues: rejuvenation, perpetuation, continuing presence in this world, but also judgment, righteousness, and legitimacy. The evidence may be somewhat skewed, as a considerable portion of Osirian rituals has been preserved only because of their secondary application to private use. Due to these favorable circumstances, the absolute number of Osirian rituals preserved in more or less their entirety is considerably higher than for comparably eminent deities. Moreover, titles of further ritual books are known, and recent research by the author into the fragmentary evidence for Osirian rituals preserved in the Roman period temple library of Teptinus has resulted not only in further copies of familiar rituals but also in an impressive number of hitherto unassignable fragments. As with every deity, there were default rituals of the quotidian cult based on the mundane routines of wakening, cleaning, washing, clothing, and feeding the cult image in its shrine, accompanied by hymns and praises, food offerings, libations, and censing. These basic rituals, like the daily statue ritual or the daily offering ritual, differed little, regardless of the deity concerned. The specifically Osirian rituals were mostly performed in the course of his festivals. The Koyic festival described above is sometimes stated explicitly as is the place, Abydos, but in actual fact the rituals were widely applicable, as exemplified by the opening passage of a glorification ritual, the Lamentations of Isis and Nephthys, invocation of the glorifications which the two sisters performed in the temple of Osiris Kentimenti, the great god, Lord of Abydos, on the 25th day of Koyic. To be performed likewise in every place of Osiris at every festival of his. In recent decades, publications of hitherto unknown Osirian rituals as well as research into the topic have enjoyed an immense increase. As stated above, the major part of the evidence consists of papyri dating to the Greco-Roman period, about 330 BC AD 400, with most of the material originating in the earlier half of that period. Dating the actual composition is much more difficult, with opinions, based on linguistic as well as theological analysis, veering widely. The various rituals fulfilled different functions, sometimes stated quite explicitly. For instance, the passage from the Lamentations of Isis and Nephthys quoted above continues: glorifying his Ba, stabilizing his corpse, making his Ka jubilant, granting breath to the nose of him whose throat is constricted, gladdening the hearts of Isis and Nephthys, placing Horus on the throne of his father. This places the ritual firmly in the embalming hall where Osiris is revivified by the recitation of the Lamentations. The introductory passage of another liturgy, the Great Decree issued to the Nome of Silence, states as its purpose, to cause Osiris to rule in the Nome of Silence. This relates to the burial, conceived as the introduction of Osiris into his future realm. Both passages from the Lamentations quoted above comprise the terms glorification, or glorify, rather vague but time-honored translations of Egyptian, saku, and sak, pronounced, say akhu. Sak means causing to be akh. Ak may be either a noun, denoting a person who has successfully been made an akh, or an adjective, describing the state of akhhood. The abstract noun saku designates a specific class of rituals. As to the meaning of akh, Jan Assmann succinctly states that the untranslatable word akh refers to the salutary effectiveness that crosses the threshold of death, from this world into the next and vice versa. By means of performing a saku ritual, Osiris or the deceased individual emulating him became an akh. As such, although dead, he was empowered to receive sustenance, to move freely, even recrossing the threshold of death to visit his former abode, and to dwell in the company of the gods. There are numerous rituals for Osiris explicitly labeled as Saku. Others were intended specifically for his protection. These so-called apotropaic rites repelled the enemies of the god, led by Seth, from the embalming hall until the process of mummification, embalming, wrapping, and glorifying had been completed and the former lifeless corpse, prone to decomposition equating to destruction, had been transformed, by all of these means, into an august mummy, Sa-Sheps the durable, imperishable abode of the boss soul, ready to enter the netherworld. Sa-Sheps is the repeated designation of Osiris in the Great Decree, the ritual enactment of the funerary procession.